What up, y'all? So I was gonna shoot me building a very cheap mining rig. In fact, probably the world's cheapest mining rig ever. And that didn't go according to plan because... All right, so for the moment of truth, we're not getting anything posting, so... So instead, I'll be dedicating this time to reviewing the BTC T37 Riserless motherboard. And let's just get straight into it. What is it? It's a motherboard that allows you to plug in 8 graphics cards directly into the motherboard. However, that is not the case with the BTC T37 one. It is more the case with the S37 or D37 models, because the reason why is because as you can see, the BTC T37 motherboard measures about 19 inches in length and but 4 centimeters of space in between each PCIe slot. So what that means is that, like, if you have really big graphics cards such as the RX 5700 XT like I do, what's going to happen is it's going to take up the entire PCIe slot lane, like the little space in between the PCIe slots, and there's going to be no airflow whatsoever if you have 8 of these. So the only way to solve the solution is to put like smaller cards, for instance RX 5500 XT in, or basically use PCIe risers. But the problem is, from what I've seen, you have to power all of these slots here, all 8 of these slots, and somehow power the PCIe risers, because, like, if you look at how many capacitors there are 2 capacitors near each slot. And if you look at, like, your typical PCIe riser, you're gonna have 4. So I'm pretty sure you're gonna have to power the PCIe riser somehow. I mean, like, fill out all 8 of these slots in a way that sort of allows a little bit of airflow. And then I'm gonna put fans across here. And so it is still possible with the BTC T37 to get all 8 cards in. However, it's like, you really should aim for the BTC S37, because instead of that 19 inches you get with this model, you get 22 inches with the S37 and slightly less with the D37. So that's something you want to think about when you buy like any of these riserless models. You want to aim for the S37, which is has, like, instead of like black PCIe slots, you're gonna have like blue ones. Difference in make, like, if you see the S37, you're gonna see blue ones, and then if you get the D37, you're gonna see green ones, and that's basically the main difference. And this is like the black one, so that's how you know it's a BTC T37. But so let's go over some other features. When you buy this motherboard, you do not get a lithium battery, and that's what you need to power this motherboard. You need a CR2032 3 volt lithium battery. That's like typical. Like, see, if you look at this other motherboard, which I'm going to use for a different project, they both have the same lithium battery, so it's quite common. And yeah, so when it ships from China or wherever, they ship it without a lithium battery. So there's a good chance you won't get one, so make sure you have one of these. So the best part about this motherboard, and the reason why I got this motherboard, was because it is inherently low powered. So this CPU, we'll see in a second, we're going to power it up, and it's going to give us about 23 watts at the wall. It might be a bit more or less, but we'll see. And another cool feature is that instead of using regular RAM like you would on, you know, a regular motherboard, like DDR4 is the typical type of RAM that you use nowadays. You use DDR3 SODIMM memory, which is laptop memory. So I'm gonna put this in my mining rig rack, and we're gonna boot this motherfucker up. Also, another feature is the fact that you have a little power button right here that allows you to just like click it just like that, and then it powers on. That's another cool feature. And one more thing is that you actually don't need to power the CPU. Once you power the motherboard, you're powering the CPU, and you're basically powering these things like the USB slots, HDMI, etc., etc. And then you need to power each individual PCIe slot. So there's no power flowing to these until you power them through PCIe cables. All right, so as you can see, here is the new layout. I've got all the fans out. I've got my motherboard in place. I've got my power supply in place. I'm just going to plug it in, and we're going to give this baby a test drive. We're going to see exactly what lies in the BIOS and exactly how much draws in the draws from the wall. This is the power supply from Parallel Miner. So it's an HP power supply with a ZSX breakout board. It's one of their best products, or at least we'll see, and it'll be kind of like a dual review, because we're reviewing two products technically. So let's see what happens. Current. So this is the voltage. Zero current, 12.3 voltage. How much are we drawing from the wall? So we're drawing 7.8 watts from the wall just because of we powered up this power supply. But let's see what happens when we actually turn on the motherboard. What's gonna... Okay. Okay, so we're powering on. Oh shit. You know what? It's not all the way in. Oh no. I had two HDMI cables and I was using the wrong one. Okay, there we are. Okay, so it should all be good. All right, so we're in my communist Pumbaa, as I named it, because I get all the fans lit up, it's going to be red, and you know, better dead than red.
Commie bastard, you destroyed my country. Die! Die!
But yeah, so it's clearly a low-powered motherboard. So we're going to go into system setup, and we're going to check out the system BIOS. So it's American Megatrends. That's the manufacturer, or sorry, that's the BIOS vendor of the motherboard. And you can see the version, the UEFI thing. Number of processors 2, because it's a 3rd gen Intel Celeron. Ivy Bridge. So this is really, really old. This is a really, really old CPU that we're talking about. So what you can do all the things that you normally do in motherboards. However, we're going to go into advanced. Always make sure that above 4G decoding is enabled, because, well, that's what allows you to mine on 4 gigabytes. And PCI Express settings, yeah, there's nothing in there that we need to look at. I've already like edited this. I've disabled HD audio on here. It's somewhere in here, I forget where it is, but we're gonna exit without saving. And so now we're going to put all the graphics cards in. But as you can see, the bigger cards, especially the the 3-fan ones, they tend to take up a lot more space. So unless you put it one at the very end, I don't recommend having any big cards. Definitely don't get this model if you want all 8 lined up and, you know, firing away. Definitely not what you want to do. Alright guys, so this is the end result of me rebuilding my rig and having the BTC T37 pushed to the max.
Ta-ta for now!